listening to Exclusive on Pod Pub Network. Your city, your podcast.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucs!
Welcome to NS9 Live. I, of course, am your host, Anthony DiNardo. Tonight, we have our co-host Jim Rosati on here. And a special guest, we got Brian from Raise the Jolly Roger. How is everyone doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's nice to have Brian on here as well. So we've got somebody who was at the game today. So a live encounter. You know.
That's right.
Yeah,
the first game since 2019, and you were there.
Right. It was a nice day. Beautiful place, beautiful stadium, beautiful weather, and not so beautiful of a game, which is exactly what we all expected and signed up for. But it was all good.
I will say this, though. Your game was better than the game that I drove an hour and a half to.
I was literally just going to say that.
Week.
I mean, it
that
could be worse.
Very true.
Yeah, it definitely could have been worse.
Yeah, there was at least some semblance of a competitive game today, so that was good.
Right. Oh man. So actually let's kind of get into that part. With you being at the game, so I'm kind of interested. I'm sure a lot of other people that weren't able to attend the game today. It was a sellout. All 7,700 were there. But why don't you tell us a little bit about being there? What was it like?
Yeah, it was kind of weird for sure. Not weird. I mean, I'm sure all the jokes will be made about how 7,000 is not an unusual crowd for a Pirates game, and that's true. But it was good. Everyone felt pretty good about how it was safety wise. From everyone's kept out pretty spaced out pretty far. Everyone's wearing masks. Maybe not so much when you're sitting, but even then you're pretty spaced out from everyone. So I think it's kind of okay. But yeah, it was great to it was unbelievable. It's like 80 degrees, which I think is the warmest it's been in Pittsburgh all year. Like perfectly sunny, amazing day, just walking across the bridge, going into the park, getting a beer, sitting down, looking at the view. It's like, this is amazing. And then, Brian hits one in the bushes, the second batter of the game. So, but like I said, we didn't sign up for a great baseball team by going to the PNC Park this year. That's part of the deal. But yeah, it was all pretty good. Can't really complain. Just happy to be there.
Yeah, then that's something I definitely agree with. Like, I mean, usually, home opener at PNC Park, you're expecting like what it was last week in Chicago, right? I mean, yeah. You're like wondering if it's going to snow today or not. And then, I mean, hell, it was summertime. Just to point out, here I am in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was literally the same weather. I'm looking up, I was like, it's 80 degrees here too. And it's 80 degrees there. What's going on?
Yeah, we were looking at some of the pictures from opening days past. We were in our coats and hats, shivering. And actually last week, it looked cold in Chicago, but here we were watching the game on TV, but outside our window it was snowing here. So yeah, definitely a nice change. So.
Yeah, that's right. It was just snowing up there like a week ago. But yeah, perfect week for baseball after that last weekend, because it was excellent weather in Cincinnati earlier this week, and I guess that carried over to Pittsburgh today. So that's good.
Sure.
Yeah. Luckily, the play didn't carry over. So, like I guys mentioned, at least your game was a little bit better. I guess we can talk about the few games, especially today's as well. But since last time we podcast, they did finish up the Reds series last night. That also wasn't too stellar. But again, today at least was competitive. Tyler Anderson went out there to pitch, kept them in the game. It was close. Obviously, the Cubs did end up winning. But I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about today's game a little bit more right now. What did you guys think about it?
Yeah, I mean Anderson. I saw a stat. I saw a stat from the first game he pitched. He actually had a really high, shockingly high amount of swings and misses, and I don't know I didn't see the count today, but it's kind of the same. Like he actually is surprisingly effective with that stupid little hitch in his windup that just like clearly meant to throw off the batter, but it does work somewhat. He gave a couple bombs, and I think they had a good number of hits they had, but he's probably the best pitcher we have right now. Just like you said, he was actually able to get into the sixth inning, which for a Pirates starter so far this year is pretty good. Not great by normal standards, but we'll take it. And yeah, keep him in the game, getting a handful of strikeouts, got out of a couple jams. So yeah, you'll take that from Anderson for sure. The offense is just not very good. I think we just all know that at this point. Yeah, they actually had a bunch of opportunities. They were getting walked a lot. Arrieta was pretty wild. A couple of their guys in the bullpen, particularly one, was extremely wild and gave them a bunch of chances, and they just didn't do enough with them. But again, that's kind of, we know they're not very good, so it is what it is.
Right. No, like I really agree. I'll go ahead, Jim.
No, I was gonna say to about the whiffs. Yeah, I just looking it up here. 10 whiffs for Tyler Anderson. 4 on his changeup. Especially early on, I felt that changeup was working really well against righties. I think he got Contreras on it twice. He got another batter early on that changeup. So the changeup was looking good. And I think this is exactly the kind of start that Tyler Anderson was like brought in here to do, right? He wasn't spectacular by any means, right? But we've been talking for a while now about we're just going to need pitchers to throw innings, and this right here, deepest start by a Pirate starter all year, which is, I don't know if that's pathetic, but 5 1/3 innings. He at least got into the 6th inning. So that's valuable in of itself. But he wasn't spectacular by any means. He gave up 10 hits in 5 1/3 innings. Didn't walk anybody, but he pitched some innings, kept the team in the ball game. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't good. He was just kind of there.
Yeah,
which is fine. Like that's literally what they brought him in to do. So
I think Anderson is he's a notch above like a Cahill
for sure.
Derek Holland last year, where like those are guys that are totally just signed off the scrap heap. Like there's really little to no hope that they'll actually be a trade piece or really help your team. I think that they're just to fill innings. Anderson, kind of falls in that category, but he's at least a little bit more of a real serviceable pitcher. Which is why he got a major league contract and stuff. So yeah.
And albeit, early in the season, he at least looks like he belongs and is our best pitcher for sure. But that's why I put out there, I was actually, impressed isn't the good word, but I did look at this and it's like that was a pretty solid start by him, because again, like he wasn't brought in here to be an ace. He's brought in here to eat innings and just be a competitive type of pitcher. And I felt like that's exactly what he was. Like Jim said, there was 0 walks, but the Pirates been doing like all series or for the Red series, like every pitcher just walks everyone. So he gave up no walks. There was only 2 his last start, and albeit it was 10 hits he had, a lot of them were soft contact. And let's talk about them 2 home runs. First off, you mentioned about Brian hit that first home run. That was a good pitch. That was a lot of kudos on Brian. And then the Baez home run, that was just like that shouldn't happen. Ryan, the ex-NS9 co-host over here, showed us that was tied for the 6th lowest home run since 2008. I think it was like what?
Yeah, I've got
8 feet off the ground
here. Something like that. 0.86 feet off of the ground. Tied for the 6th lowest pitch hit for a home run since they started tracking it in 2008.
Yeah. So it's like that there. Like, you can't you can't put that blame on Anderson for the most part. That was just amazing by Baez. So again, like I'm not here touting that Tyler Anderson looked great, but he did his job really. It was 3 earned runs. The Pirates are still in the game. Even the last time he pitched, that the Pirates were in the game. That's what he's paid to do right now. And that's what he's doing. So, he was effective for what he's needing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were sitting up high behind the plate, so you don't really have a great view of the height of the pitch. So when Baez hit that homer, I didn't see in the Bryant, but I was just like, why would because Baez, he swings at everything. He crushes the fastballs, but he strikes out a lot. So I'm like, why would you throw him a strike? What are you doing? Because it looked from up top, it looks like it's right down the middle, but that's off the pitch location. Right. It's like in the dirt. It's like, oh, actually, it was not really a bad pitch at all.
Yeah,
it was a pretty crazy piece of hitting. So.
I mean, it was like, here's a ball. You're not going to swing at this. And he does. And it's a home run.
Yeah.
2-run shot. Take the lead.
Yeah.
So.
Unfortunate.
I think then right after issue, that, though, at least today, was the hitting. That's
the problem I felt like with the offense today was like they would get it going. They would get all these runners on base. But then the bottom of the order would be up, right? So it's like everybody would get on base, and then it was like, oh, wait, now it's the pitcher spot, or it's Dustin Fowler, right? And those guys just didn't come through. Fowler actually did hit a runner in. He had a sacrifice fly, so he at least got the job done once. But I mean, I think Tyler Anderson stranded, I don't even know how many, five batters, 5 runners on the
it was on 4 base, in total, but yeah.
I mean, he had the bases loaded his first at bat. He had runners on the second time up. So, that's just kind of unfortunate, right? Yep. And we were even joking, like in the second inning, Anderson's up in the second inning with the bases loaded. It's like, I mean, shit, we're off tomorrow. Do we just pinch hit for him and throw the bullpen 7 innings today?
Who are you going to pinch hit? Alford?
That's true.
That's true, too. That's true. Who are we going to put in there? It's not like Steven Brawl's healthy.
I was just going to say, can Steven Brawl hit? Like, can he swing? Can he just be on the team for a pitch hitter?
Yeah, maybe they should just activate Brawl so that he could hit.
Right.
Yeah. Might be better than
you're right. It's like the hitting, like, I mean, the team did hit in regards to like what they've been doing. Like they're getting on base as well to a degree, but like there's no clutch. I mean, just guys left on base. How many times? How many opportunities?
Right. Yeah.
What's his face? Winkler came in and walked 3 straight guys.
Yeah.
And
it was 3 walks.
That's when
I mean, look
Kimbrel
at it,
came in and strikeout.
Yeah, I mean the Pirates who performed well today, right? Polanco 2 for 3 with a walk. And then Stallings 1 for 2 with 2 walks. So between Polanco and Stallings, the 6 and 7 hitters, they got on base 6 times. And so it was just, they got on base and then no one behind them. There was no one behind them to hit them in.
Right. Or Frazier too. Frazier 2 for 4 with a walk. So he let it off.
Frazier.
And then Newman and Reynolds couldn't do anything, or Moran. And then, like you said, Polanco and Stallings, and then no one could get them in. So
yeah, it was their hits were all spaced out. Like they couldn't clump anything together.
It also helps when it hurts when you don't have power hitters, which we don't.
That too.
That can be a cure for that, which it was for the Cubs today. Cubs offense is garbage right now. Actually, they had a horrible series leading up to this. They weren't particularly impressive the first round against the Pirates, even though they won 2 out of 3. And they weren't very good today, really. I mean, they had 3 bombs, I guess. Rizzo. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I don't know.
I think I actually saw a stat where pitchers have a higher batting average than the Cubs.
Yeah.
So and that was as of yesterday, I
pitcher.
Think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not hitting well going into the series, but they did put together 11 hits today. And 3
the Pirates will usually cure that for you.
But even now, I mean, all 3 runs scored on homers. All 4 runs scored on home runs. So yeah, as Brian mentioned, the home runs can cure a lot of things. That's how you can score if you're not really stringing together hits. And Cubs were able to do it. Pirates weren't.
So we're in the 7th game of the season. We've already written off Polanco. comes into this game. We saw that first hit. I mean, that would have, as Jim said, right, would have been out of the park 80% of the time. And then Kevin corrected you and said on the broadcast, they actually said 28 out of 30 ballparks would have went out of. So that could have been a home run literally almost anywhere else. He sent one deep to center.
Texas. Yeah.
He sent one deep to center that was caught. I don't know. One was a bloop, of course. Is there anything?
The one hit that he had, that ball was in the air forever. It was unbelievable. That turned into. I mean, at this point, he deserves some luck. But that was like a joke.
Right. No, I'm totally with you. But like you said, luck's got to bounce both ways. At some point.
Yep,
so okay, he didn't really earn that one, but he got lucky. And
like I said, he more than deserves one like that.
And the thing about that too.
Hit,
what's that?
The double was nice. It was a nice piece of hitting.
It was really impressive.
Outside pitch on the corner, low and away, and he drove the opposite
you don't
way.
see lefties go to that part of the park much, if ever.
No, but he hit the ball probably 380 feet.
Yeah.
So yeah, he drove it. It's just it was in the wrong spot. If he would have tucked it into that corner a little bit more, it would have been 6 rows back.
Yeah, and that's one to bring up here. Like, I'm not really going to count that bloop so much, but the one he hit dead away center, and the other one, he hit away. So neither was pulled. I don't know. I said a little encouraging. He looked good at the plate. It's not that he's looked terrible at the plate all year. I mean, he's looked lost at sometimes, like the old Polanco. He's gotten some bad calls, but he has walked. I mean, he's not swinging at every single pitch. So I don't know. I feel like we're going to talk about Polanco all the time this year, and at least we get to talk some positive stuff about him tonight. It's not like, oh God, there's Polanco. He went 0 for 3 again with a walk and 3 strikeouts. So I guess when there's positive, let's try to bring it up. And he did look like a major league player today, and he looked pretty damn good, I guess, offensively.
And I will say this too: he has not looked good really this season, but he is walking. He's getting on base via the walk, which is good to see. He got his 5th walk of the season today. He's walking at a 20% rate right now. And then after today, strikeout rate, the lowest it's been since 2018.
I mean, it doesn't say a whole lot, Jim. I appreciate that
6
stat.
6 games in, but and again, it's hard for me to get excited. Yeah.
It feels like a PNC Park scoreboard stat.
Right.
Joe Block exactly. on the call.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get excited about Polanco at this point, just because it's like Lucy with the football and Charlie Brown every single year.
Exactly.
But I mean, I guess it was nice to see him today not suck.
Agreed.
I mean, what else about today's game stood out? Anything?
Got a ball.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It was in that, I think it was the 8th inning when the Cubs pitcher couldn't throw a strike. They put all those walks in a row. Stallings had it right back. The people right in front of us, it was right to them, and they botched it, and it bounced right to us.
There you go.
It was good.
Very nice. Is that your first foul ball that you've caught?
I think I've got a foul ball since Three River Stadium when I was a little kid. I got a ground rule. We always used to hang out in that left field. I got a ground rule double there a few years ago.
Okay.
We've gotten random balls thrown from a player, but no, it's a foul ball. That was the first one in quite a while. Oh, you have increased odds if you go to a game this year of getting a foul ball.
There you go.
That's true. Less competition now.
Yeah. So that's
How about you, Denard? Have you ever caught a foul ball at a major league game?
Well, so I've never caught a foul ball at a major league game, but I will say at a spring game in Orlando, there was one that came my way, and I mean, part of me too, I'm not really the type that really cares too much about it, but they'll come in my way, and this one guy I was really, really excited about, so I was let him go and get it, but he ended up dropping his phone doing so. So I actually am kind of thankful I let him have it because I got to witness that. So he dropped his phone. I'm pretty sure it broke.
Yeah.
But he got a baseball, I guess, at a spring training game. So
hey,
I guess
that's worth it, right?
It might be a win for him.
I'll never forget. I've caught one foul ball at a major league game, and it was crazy because in the exact same game, I also caught a hot dog. Like, you know, you do the hot dog shoots.
See, now that I'll be all over.
They need to bring that back.
So, like, same game, a hot dog and a foul ball. It was pretty crazy. Foul ball was off of Brad Osmus, Houston Astros.
Manager now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
Brad.
Is he still a manager?
I don't know what he's doing now, but you would think Brad Osmus seems like the kind of guy who would be a manager. That's for sure. But no, yeah, Brad Osmus foul ball and a hot dog in the same game.
That's a big day.
That for sure is.
It was a great day. I mean, it doesn't get much better.
A souvenir for free.
I mean, we came home today with not the ball and a magnetic schedule and a mask. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
That's a haul right there. Yeah, I guess they always give out the magnetic schedules on opening day, but I guess they were doing the masks today too. I feel like they should just do the masks for like every game. Maybe like change the pattern up.
There's some.
Yeah, they probably
Collect
have
them
a lot
all.
of them.
I know we're all anxiously awaiting, but just so an update, Brad Osmus hasn't done anything since the Angels of 19, so he is no longer in baseball.
That's a shame.
Right.
He was the Angels manager? That's right, he was. And then they fired him. And then they hired Joe Madden for some stupid reason.
Yeah. So he can injure Ohtani.
Yeah, who almost murdered Ohtani over the weekend.
Not as good as Phillip Evans, though.
Not as good as No, I mean, you got to think. They're the only two pitchers to have homered this year. Phillip Evans and Shohei.
Evans had a nice play at third today. I was impressed with that.
I was just going to say,
I know he's not a
only is
defensive
he
star.
Is he and Ohtani the only guys that have pitched and homered in the same game? But Phillip Evans has 2 home runs where Ohtani only has 1, so he's also better offensively and a better pitcher. 0 ERA, so he is definitely better than Ohtani. But yeah, I want to say that. So defensively, it's been a mixed bag, but he did have a really, really good play today at third base.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a guy who just he's already played like 4 or 5 different positions.
Right.
He's in there for a bat. They're sort of just obviously never going to play third once Hayes is back. Maybe some first, maybe some outfield here and there. Probably not the quickest guy in the world. I don't really know, but I think he's just sort of a guy that. I mean, the best thing that can happen for the Pirates this season is that you have guys increase their stock as players or assets, really, and he's one guy that really can do that. Come out of nowhere and actually become something. That'd be a plus, and something you can really actually take away from the season as positive. So hopefully he keeps it up, no matter where he's playing.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, he's kind of just picking up where he left off last year. Before his injury, he was like, we saw all this for 2 weeks last year, and it was just unfortunate what happened. But no, I mean, this also goes back to the whole reason why he's even on the team, right? He can do all these things, whereas the other guy, Todd Frazier, can't, right? And that's why he's here and Todd Frazier's not.
I will say I agree on Frazier, but if you want to argue for Frazier over Wilmer Defoe, I will hear that argument quite clearly. I
would too. I would at least, I would listen to that one.
It would have been nice to have him up there with bases loaded today.
That I can get on.
I know Todd Frazier's nothing great, but yeah, I'm with you for the most part.
Defoe did have 3 hits yesterday.
Yeah, and that'll be the last time he has like a multi-hit game this year.
that'll be like his only 3 hits for the rest of the month.
Oh man, yeah. I again, like with Evans, I just you just like want to write him off in a sense, like, well, he's 28 years old, doesn't have a track record, like, it's fool's gold. He had 11 games last year, he looked good, whatever. But like in spring, he also looked pretty decent. He made the club, and right now he's looking decent. I'm still intrigued. Let's just kind of, I guess, figure this guy out. Like you said, Brian, let's see the stock. I'm not saying he's going to be part of the future, but let this guy play out, and maybe he can be a commodity of some piece or some type. But it's like he just yet has disappointed anyone. I mean, even right now, obviously today went over 3, but still batting 368 on the season. He did walk. He made a good defensive play. He's capitalizing on his time, available to play.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even, and then just even the fact that's it. The big thing with him is he can hit, right? So if you're hitting like that, the defense, you can just be kind of serviceable everywhere. But yeah. I mean, looking at his career numbers now, and again, he's kind of played just bits and pieces, but in 4 different parts of seasons, he's got 131 weighted runs created plus over 50 games and 123 plate appearances. So he's now, he's put together basically like a third of a season, over the course of his career. And he's been 30% above league average hitting wise.
Yeah, they should have him in there every day at this point, even when Hayes is back. I mean, easy to do now before he's back, but whenever that does happen, you got to get him in there either at first or outfield or something.
So what's your thought on that? Because that brings up a good point. Because obviously, if he's continuing to play like this, he's earned the right to play. So if Hayes comes back, which he was taking grounders today, so maybe sooner than later than what we were expecting. Hayes comes back, like what do you do with him? Where do you play Evans? Are you just giving him like other guys random days off and getting him a lineup, or has he become an everyday outfielder in some sense? I mean, you still have Polanco there and Reynolds, so I mean, I don't know. You're putting Reynolds in center field a bit and having Evans play out there. What's going on here? What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for sure. Whenever you face a lefty, you either put him in for Polanco or Moran. That's easy. One of those two for sure. When you face righties, yeah, I mean, you have to either pick and choose your spots. I guess you either give a day to Reynolds or Polanco or Moran, even against a righty, or we'll move Reynolds to center, take out the Fowler-Alford combo because that doesn't seem to be working so well. Although I do think they need to give at bats to at least one of those guys and just hope that they turn into something. Who knows how likely that is, but you might as well try. But yeah, I mean, like he's the guy that can play all over, so you mix him in. I don't think his defense is gonna be great anywhere. Like Jim said, he just needs to get at bats. And even days he doesn't bat, even days he doesn't start, put him in there as your first guy off the bench. Position and versatility can help with that too, especially get a lefty coming in to face Polanco or Moran in a big spot later in the game. Like he can be good for that as well.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I think he's got to be in the lineup at least, 5 times a week, right? 5 out of 6 games, try to figure out where to put him and just kind of move him around, right? Yeah, like you said, lefties, he's an automatic start for either Moran or Polanco. Probably at this point, Polanco. And then, just kind of pick and choose. Hey, does Reynolds get a day off now? Does center fielder get a day off now? Does Polanco or Frazier or one of those guys? He hasn't played second base in a while, so I don't really know if he can play second base anymore. He hasn't done it in 2
Can our
years.
second base play second base anymore?
That's true. Frazier's looking
not so far this year.
But he hasn't played second base since 2019. But no, I agree. I think you got to have him in the lineup as much as possible, even when Hayes comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all with you guys too. Like as it stands, I mean, he's just doing everything he's asked for. He's the best player offensively right now. He's consistent. Again, it's 6 games. I get it. It's short, but of all the guys that is earning something, at least he is. Or the rest have looked pretty bad so far. And I don't know. So maybe we'll go to the bullpen a little bit here. Sam Howard did give up that home run. This was one of the better parts. I mean, it was funny, like heading into this season, we knew the Pirates were going to be bad. I wasn't expecting 54 game bad, but maybe Jim, you overshot that also. 44 might be the number. Maybe it's 34, but it was like of the better parts of this team. We kept hearing and you kept assuming too, and there's reason to believe it, but it was going to be defense, which obviously looked terrible. and it's going to be the bullpen. Now, the bullpen looked really good against the Cubs series. The Reds didn't look good at all. Again, Howard today gave up the home run. I mean, what are we thinking about with this bullpen so far? Has anything changed your mind these past few games? Are we worried about Howard as well? I mean, he hasn't looked good to start this year after a not fantastic, but solid season last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you're talking about like, is this bullpen going to be walking down leads every time no, it's not going to be an elite level like it was an opening day, dominating lineups, always reliable to hold on to a lead or keep games close. But it's kind of like we were talking with Evans. You have guys that are trying to prove their stock or really prove themselves a little bit, and that's kind of what you want to see. Holmes has been so bad in most of his career. He's had that one really horrible game in Cincinnati, but has looked pretty decent otherwise, actually, which is good because I think he actually is hard to hit. He just is all over the place sometimes. Howard, was kind of good last year. I think anytime you just have a lefty that throws from an angle, he's has promise. The new guys like Bednar and what's his name, Oviedo. That guy looks awesome. We didn't see him today, but he's really exciting to watch as a Rule 5 pickup. Basically out of nowhere, it never pitched above single A. Dude looks like a beast. So yeah, there's going to be growing pains for sure, but it can be a bright spot. And again, you really just want to see guys get better and establish themselves and pick and choose which ones are going to be part of your future and maybe become trade chips in some cases or move forward. But right. Yeah, you'll see.
As Bucco Mike points out, what leads?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there haven't been too many leads to protect up to this point. I have been all over Kyle Crick for a while now. But he put together a strong spring. He's actually looked pretty good so far this year. He hasn't given up a run yet. His problem always has been, can he keep people off the base paths, right? Because his command has just been all over the place ever since, 2 years ago, really. 2019, 6.5 walks per 9. Last year, 6.3 walks per 9. So that's his issue, right? If he can get back to where he was in 2018, right? 2018, 3.4 walks per 9. He was elite. He was an elite setup guy in baseball at that point. I said, if he can get to that point where he's just not walking so many people, then he's a totally different pitcher, and the stuff still plays. He just needs to keep people off the bases, and so he did a good job of that today, right? No walks, and he pitched an inning and a third. So I want to see more of that from Kyle Crick because, again, he's Brian's mentioned it a few times here. If you're looking for guys who can improve their stock, Kyle Crick's someone who, he's now 28 years old. He now has he's in his third year of service time. So, Kyle Crick's not a part of this team's successful future that will hopefully be here 2023, 2024, 2025, whenever that time frame is. Can Kyle Crick at least turn himself into a consistent setup guy that would make him someone that teams would give up some talent for, right? So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to keep watching. His velocity was up a little bit today, so that was nice to see. He was sitting more 94-ish with his fastball. The slider was 80, 81, which is where you want to see it as opposed to where he's been in the past.
Yeah, I was going to say the velocity was up a little bit. It still wasn't to the levels of before. But as we talked this offseason, you mentioned as well, for him to get better, you got to get that velocity there. But also, too, everything you're saying, it's funny. It reminds me of the Liriano effect, where people just weren't swinging at a slider anymore because he just can't find it in the zone. The slider's coming. You see the slider, and you just don't swing because it's going to be a ball. And that's what Kyle Crick has become. He just can't locate that. He can't throw for strikes anymore. Even this year we saw one that was 3 feet off the plate, I swear. So if he can start locating that, and right, the velocity seems like it's coming back. So hopefully, maybe, I mean, today was warm, but hopefully, maybe in May we start seeing it. And like you said, Jim, he can be a trade piece at the deadline. You just need to, he just needs to run off a couple good months. Guys will, people always need relievers. You're seeing guys go down right now. I mean, even today, Paxton went down, but Rosenthal has to get thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, which is what our boy Chris Archer just got. So, after last year, we're not sure, but my guesstimate is there's probably going to be a lot of injuries this year because with the shortened season, we're starting to see injuries. And yeah, like people like Kyle Crick can definitely become valuable because you're going to need arms. And if he's showing any type of life, then yeah, there's a trade chip.
Yeah, Crick's. Yeah. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. I mean, that was a name that, going into the season, I had almost written off completely. So if he's able to, like we've been saying, improve his stock or get to the point where he is somewhat attractive as a setup man or something going forward, that would be a major win. Something to look forward to.
I think if you're looking at guys like Crick, fits that mold. Rich Rod fits that mold as someone that you want to see. Just like if Rich Rod can be a shutdown reliever, that could come in handy come trade deadline time, right? And so far so good with Rich Rod too.
Yes, so far so good with him. I mean, I feel like pitched less innings. He's been utilized a lot less. But when you're looking at trade chips, definitely him, Crick. Stratton's another one. Stratton's a guy that I've really liked as well, in a sense. And I say really liked again. It's not like it's elite, but he's a guy like my Chad Cool. I feel like there's some production out of him. But he, as like Chad Cool as well, has not looked good this year either. Stratton yesterday gave up 3 earned runs with a home run, 4 hits in 2 innings. Just wasn't looking good. Seemed like he was throwing everywhere, getting hit everywhere. So yeah, I don't know. This bullpen, it's been night and day. Chicago looked really good, and then Cincinnati looked awful. And then today, it was okay.
Yeah, really outside the home run that Howard gave up, which
the very first pitch.
I mean, it was first pitch, and Rizzo just smacked it. I think it was like 410 feet. So
right.
It was kind of right in his wheelhouse. Lefty power hitters don't want to give them that low and in ball that they can just drop the bat head and just hit forever. So it was not a great pitch.
So sorry. Anyways, yeah, and I guess again, like getting it back to yesterday a little bit today. I mean, I don't know. So there was issues with. I just want to bring this up too. There was issues about Eric Gonzalez not playing today. Really? We actually saw this is how you know, right? This is how you know Pirate fandom, like Pirate World, is terrible. That we actually had people calling out, like calling for the head almost, that Eric Gonzalez wasn't in the lineup today because Eric Gonzalez had a hit yesterday that went over the fence, right? First off, let's just say this. Eric Gonzalez had a hit. Let's give him the clap. He had a hit, but also ended up being a grand slam, so therefore he should be playing today. I mean, is it this bad that we're like praying and yelling and mad that Eric Gonzalez is not in the lineup?
Now, if you want to complain about Kevin Newman, I'm here for it. He hit 600 in spring training. I love to. I'm going to bring that up as a joke now all season because they love to make such a big deal out of that, and we all knew it's not a big deal at all. And Kevin Newman, I mean, nice guy, whatever, but really, an absolute best case scenario is that he hits 300 with all singles, and his defense is not good. So yeah, I mean, Eric Gonzalez, he's a big guy. He sometimes, when he actually connects with it, it looks amazing. Like he can be a beast. I guess he can play good defense too, but yeah, I'm not really a believer in Eric Gonzalez. Not going to complain about him not playing, but I do see the idea that maybe he has more upside than Kevin Newman. And then maybe that's why. I mean, I've seen people saying like, "Oh, Charrington's getting rid of all the NH guys." and he had the opportunity to get rid of Gonzalez and didn't.
True.
He re-signed through arbitration, so he's probably at least a little bit intrigued. But yeah, I'm not buying Gonzalez is selling really for the most part. He did get at bat today and quickly struck out horribly. Hard to tell from the upper deck, but it looked like a pretty non-competitive at bat. So yeah, I don't know who was complaining that he didn't play today, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah, there was a little bit of Twitter outrage about that, and I found it funny as well because I was like, really, guys, it's Eric Gonzalez. Like, let's not get too upset here.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, and because I want to bring up Shelton a little bit here, as well. But it's like, right, like, okay, so Eric Gonzalez is batting with that home run yesterday, that grand slam, that brought his average up to a 125 and his OPS up to a 438. So are we really looking to reward a guy who's batting 125 on the year because he hit he hit one home run to play? So, like, I guess my issue is this like in people's minds now because of baseball? I mean, when your fourth wide receiver goes off and has like a 100-yard game and a touchdown, like, do you start him next week? Not that we have a Randy Moss, but like, oh, Randy Moss, you're sitting down. Our fourth stringer got 100 yards this week, so you got to start. Like, why is this even a thing right now? Why should we be yelling at Shelton that he's not putting in Eric Gonzalez because yesterday he had a home run and sit Newman and Frazier?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be different if Gonzalez like was on a run, like on a tear, then you play him, like kind of how last year he started off and his numbers were outstanding, right?
Right.
So like that when that's happening, yeah, you play him until he cools off. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of stupid, this whole argument, to be honest.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay, then let's move it over to Shelton. So I know, Jim, you definitely had a lot to say about him last year. Really agreed with, Shelton did not impress me. There's a lot of moves he made that made you question. So now that we are 6 games into the season here, sorry, 7. What do we? Anything about Shelton change your mind?
I thought he actually, like, the first game of the year, I thought he managed really well. Every move he made paid off. His pinch hitters, he basically everything he did in game 1 worked. Since then, I don't really think it's hard to blame the manager, and it kind of goes back to like John Russell and the Apple situation too, right? Like, can you really blame the manager all that much just if your players were just terrible, which is kind of what we have now? And so I haven't really seen anything that has stuck out to me as far as like, I don't really know what Shelton's doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he's leaving pitchers in there too long. I don't think he's necessarily bringing in the wrong guys for what situations. The lineups have looked fine, as far as I can tell. So, I mean, I don't have any complaints about him yet this year. But again, sometimes it's hard to tell just because of how bad this team has looked. Like how it's hard to be a bad manager when you're losing 14-0 or 14-1, right? It's just there's not really too many wrong moves you can make.
Like what move are you going to do to,
mm-hmm.
to stay competitive in that sense?
Yeah, I 90% agree with that. I think there were a couple, I think in the first Cincinnati game, which actually was a closer loss than the other 2 were blowouts. There was, what was it? Like, I think Feliz was in, and Feliz clearly didn't have it at all. He was terrible, which we can go. That was a name we left out of the bullpen conversation that I would be totally fine moving on from. I have no faith in Feliz whatsoever.
Trying to be intentional with that one, yeah. Let's not talk about Feliz.
But yeah, I think he probably could have gone elsewhere there. I mean, bring him in, fine, but he clearly didn't have it, and that kind of may have cost him that game. Also, I think there were a couple times when Polanco came up against a lefty reliever late in the game when I think he could have pinch hit. Maybe you. I think if your number one goal is to try and win the game, you pinch hit. If your number one goal is to try and like let Polanco get at bats and prove yourself against lefty and whatever, that's fine. But if your number one goal is to win the game, bench hit. He didn't do that. I pointed out, and I'm sure you did too, Jim, many times last year where they clearly were not managing to win. Whether that was intentional or just Shelton not being smart, I don't know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt again, probably just because when the team's so bad, there's a lot of things you can do that look like you're not helping. But I don't know. I don't think it's that important, to be honest. Like, the manager is not going to make any difference this year in terms of wins and losses. And any that the difference that they do make won't matter. There's going to be a couple of games difference in a roughly 100-loss season. And I think managers' decisions, in terms of like taking pitchers out or subbing guys in here or, building the lineup, I think that's correctable. Like, if he's doing bad on that, a new bench coach could fix that entirely. I don't really care about that in terms of evaluating him as a future manager. I care about how he's like getting along with players and getting the best out of them and coaching them up and improving, which I don't know that we've seen a lot of greatness from him in that regard either. But that's really what I'm more important I want to see from him, which you can't really quantify easily.
True.
But as number of people have pointed out, if they're go on a miserable season this year and probably still pretty bad next year, he's likely getting fired anyway before this team is looking at being competitive. So probably doesn't matter that much anyway. He's just kind of a stand-in. But if he's not going to be, I'm not going to like super scrutinize these decisions in these early 100-loss season games and say like he can't manage in the future. But I will say, they're not doing everything they can to win, which is annoying to watch, but kind of understandable in the long run.
Yeah, I feel like last year it was more. There were some bad decisions like in games last year. So, like you mentioned, there were plenty of times where it was like, this is not the right move if you want to win this game, right? And he did that multiple times, and that was concerning because as a manager of athletes and competitors, you want to always like the management, right, can be tanking, right? But the team, the players, they don't tank, right? Those guys are out there trying to compete for future dollars, right? They're out there trying to win contracts and make more money. Those guys aren't tanking. No one on the Pittsburgh Pirates right now is tanking. Ben Cherington may be tanking, but the Pirates players are not. Like, they're trying to win. So when you have a manager who isn't also trying to win, then that is a problem. Like, that is a problem in the clubhouse that is not good. And yeah, last year, I don't know if it was just a matter of new manager, who knows, but last year it was bad. It didn't look good. I guess this year, yeah, there's a few instances here and there, but I haven't seen anything like super blatant where I've been like, why in the world is this happening? Like, I haven't lost my mind on any decisions yet. Whereas last year there were a few times where I was like, this is absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
Like one-run lead and bring in Del Pozo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, Brian, like I really agree. Like there's been some moments, and I've seen the chatter about him as well. And so like a question I also wonder about also in a season that doesn't matter, right? Like, I'm not judging Shelton on the season. Like, I don't care to win. I don't really care that the Pirates win 54 or 61, or if it's 68, it's going to be bad. We know it's going to be bad. So it's not as like we're trying to win here, but I guess to like critique him and understand him as a manager. I mean, I'm sure he wants to be here when the Pirates are winning, and he should probably try and do everything he can to make himself appear that he is a capable manager, so that way he can get that extension and new contract with the Pirates. Because, I mean, of course, I'd want to see it through. Like, I'm not going to go in these terrible years that get fired. It's terrible. So I'm sure he wants to, but it's like, are we evaluating him to find out if he is that guy? Last year showed me no. This year so far, there's been nothing egregious, but also to the point, like when you're down 14-0, what does it matter? Like, I'm also kind of curious too, is there maybe because there's no expectations, do you manage his bullpen? Like when Feliz was in there too long, are you kind of also saying, well, we got to manage his arms anyways? who cares? Let them go out there so we're not blowing this bullpen some more and taxing them. I mean, also, is there maybe a little bit of a tweak in the style we managed this year because of trying to save arms and be healthy throughout a full 162 game season? Or is that just a no? Because your coach is like looking at me like you're an idiot.
No, sorry, I was trying to click my unmute button here. My headphones died. So, but yeah, no, I think the innings thing, that's huge actually. Like, and that's something that a lot of people aren't going to realize. I've already had people say like, well, why would you throw Cahill or these guys? Like, you have all these new prospects. Why aren't we just pitching them? And you have to realize, like, first of all, the minor league guys didn't throw any real innings last year. And even the ones that did, maybe guys that were back and forth or guys that were in the majors or kind of on the fringes there, or even the ones that just pitched a full season, the full season that did happen. You're talking a huge boost in innings this year. And there's no reason that the Pirates should be pushing anyone in terms of, limiting their future and just so they can get innings out of them this year. So, yeah, I mean, you are going to have to some of these guys like Cahill that are just, basically filling in innings that are kind of useless to you, but you don't want to be burning innings out of your guys like that you acquired in the trade, like Yahureh, or I don't know how you say it. Some of these interesting prospects that you've got, you don't want to throw them out there right away that they're going to be out there for the whole season. We might see them later on here and there. And then the same thing goes for the bullpen. Like, yeah, you have to be careful with a lot of these people, and there's no reason to push it. It'd be different if you were a team that wasn't, expected to contend and every game matters, and but there's really no reason that they have to push it. And yeah, I think there probably will be points this year where you wonder, like, what's going on? Why are we putting this guy out there? And the answer just maybe we really need to manage the innings. And I think that, as frustrating as it'll be, and they might not even want to say it out front, but I think that could be kind of a reason.
Yeah, because I mean, you brought up, Yahureh. I think Bolton, Cody Bolton falls in that same boat. Like, those are two guys that we're probably going to see this year, and we'll see them, I think, a decent amount. But like you mentioned, like, these guys didn't pitch last year, or if they did, they were at alternate sites. Yahureh, I think, threw like 8 innings for the Yankees. So like, you've got guys who maybe collectively threw like 50 innings, right? If we're counting scrimmage games and things like that. But even those, you can't even really count them, because it's like, are they even going all out, right? Or they're pitching 90%? Who knows? So I agree with you. Like, I don't think, like, there's no reason why Cody Bolton or Miguel Yahureh should be throwing 150 innings this year, right? Like, you're probably for those guys, you're probably looking at like 60 to 80, and then you're like, okay, you're good. Because like, there's just no point. There's no point in pushing those guys to do more. Will Crow, kind of the same way. I think we'll see more of Will Crow, just kind of see what he has, and he'll be another one of those guys who can eat up some innings. Like, I think these are all guys that we will see eventually. But yeah, I mean, Cahill and Anderson in particular, they were brought here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to just eat up some innings. I mean, those are two guys that you should be able to get at least 100 innings out of them, right? Maybe even like 150. I don't know how many pitchers we'll see throw 150 innings this year, just in all of baseball. But I think those are two guys that you can at least throw out there every fifth day and eat some innings. But there's really just no point in doing it for anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I want to bring it up too, because I feel like, we're already seeing Pirates Twitter just like wanted to fight each other. I mean, we finally get baseball back, right? It's just been barely a week that it's here. And it's like we're having like an internal war in Pirates Twitter, which of course nothing new, right? But it's like we can't even enjoy baseball finally being back, and people like Brian being able to watch the game. We got all fight each other and tell everyone how to fan and such. So it's like I'm already sensing that we're going to be in June, and everyone's like coming for Shelton's head because of the way he manages and these pitchers. And that's why I want to kind of bring this up. Do we maybe heed a little warning and say that, maybe they're not all going to be the right move in the sense that we think, but maybe it's the right move of what they're trying to do here to prolong arms and get innings. Like maybe you make that move quicker, but you're like, you know what? Flea's only thrown 5 pitches. Like, why pull him out? Just keep him in there. Let's not waste all these pitches and bring in, Bednar all the time. So that's a little bit of my caution here on maybe judging him too hard right now on at least the pitching moves. Speaking of pitching, a little bit of breaking news. So MLB is examining Trevor Bauer's baseballs versus the A's. Apparently they had markings and were sticky. They've been sent to the league for inspection.
Oh,
how about that?
That's interesting. So I do think, well, what's interesting about that is because like Bauer was always that guy who was like, hey, these people are all cheating.
Right.
I'm not. If I did cheat, I would be the best pitcher in baseball. Well, guess what? Last year he was the best pitcher in baseball. So what did he do really there? That's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. I don't know if anything will come of it.
I'm with you. I'm intrigued by this to find out what does happen. I mean, of course, cynical Ryan, we talked about this. Cynical Ryan was all, they're not going to do anything about it. It's all for show. MLB sucks, right? That's typical Ryan for you. But yeah, I guess so. This is the first time we heard that they're tracking, they're going to be looking into this. They're looking for foreign substances. They're going to be looking at spin rates live. And, if there's any differences, they see anything, they're going to pull balls. And we saw it. We saw the game. There's someone tweeted out that, a baseball has been pulled and has gone to an inspector. But right now we got a follow-up. So that has been sent to the league and they are going to look into it. So this will be the first actual case that we're going to see from this new thing in Major League Baseball about them trying to cut down on, I guess, cheating.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. So, yeah, I don't know. So was there anything else that you guys wanted to bring up, talk about the Pirates in general, these past few games? Looking forward to the future games? I don't know.
Has the alternate site team started playing games yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mentioned that the other day. I think that's something that'll really maybe help cheer people up a little bit, is at least seeing some of these minor league games happen. Or I don't know what's the plan with the alternate site games? Like, how does that work?
I think some of them are being played at Pitt, and some are being played. I think some are even being played at PNC Park.
Yeah, but is it just like a scrimmage, or
Yeah, it's kind of like a scrimmage game, but they're playing other teams. So like I know here in Louisville, the Reds alternate site team is here. So like the Royals were just here last week to play the Reds, and I know the Pirates come here in 2 weeks to Louisville to play them. And I mean, they're selling tickets. It's like $10 general admission, just first come first serve. So I would imagine the Pirates are kind of doing something like that. But yeah, I feel like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. That is interesting. I don't think they're gonna. I have definitely not seen anything in terms of like it being open to the public, but that would be interesting. But yeah, I think just once we have something else to see, you flip the channel after you see it's 8-0. You can at least see like, oh well, so and so is pitching in the minors tonight, or Swaggerty had 3 hits, or Cruz did this, or something else to look at that'll give you some semblance of hope or happiness. Rather than just the team
I
getting crushed.
100% agree. Like I think minor league content this year is going to be really key for Pirates fans. Be like, okay, how are all these guys doing? Especially the new guys. Like we acquired all this new talent that we've been hearing a lot of stuff about them, right? But like, how do they actually perform? So I'm really, really, really that's what I'm most excited about this year, is to see, what does Peguero do? What does Hudson Head do? What do all these guys we got from the Yankees do? I mean, I'm
fully with you guys. You make a good point, Brian. I do. I guess once minor league baseball comes, I feel like maybe we'll all calm down a little bit. Like we're not all arguing and yelling because Eric Gonzalez isn't getting a start. Like that's going to be moved to the side, right, and replaced with, oh wow, like, look at whoever did in AAA or AA or whatever, and talking about these young guys. 'Cause you are right. Like, not only have we acquired all these guys, but the guys that we acquired, most of them are younger, and we don't even have like stats from like the season before to base off them. Like we don't really know what we have yet. It's based off of Baseball America or sites and scouts that you read on. We hear their point of view, but it's just all basically like eye test and what they think. Like, there's really no stats and extra games behind them to do it. So like, this is their first year of like proving themselves. We get to really find out like what Charrington did with all these trades when you see them play this year, and it's going to give us something to talk about, because that's the hope. The hope isn't with the Pirates roster. That's all we have. That's doom and gloom. When the minor league season comes, now you can actually start talking about some things, be hopeful, be happy about things, and then maybe we start seeing some of the guys make the way up, like Bolton and Yahuri and whatever. So I'm with you.
I think that actually is what made some of the spring training games, the end of that every game, you'd have a couple of those guys in.
Very
true. That would be that's a lot more interesting to watch than seeing at bats number 4 and 5 from Moran and Newman, and when they're down by 5 runs. So yeah, that was kind of cool to see a bunch of those guys, and now you don't have that anymore. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, so that's what, probably about a month away now. I think like first week of May.
4th.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure.
I'm with it. All right. Well, if that's everything, Brian, I really appreciate you coming on. Any last words before we have you bounce?
Well, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Good times.
You gonna be at any more games this week?
I don't know yet. Possibly. I will. You'll see if I am. So I'll let you know.
All right.
We don't know. We don't have plans yet.
We are out of here then. We'll see you all next week. So until then, bye-bye.
See you guys.